Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello everyone. My name is BATRISYA NASARUDIN and I am from MLG 1204A. Today, I will be presenting my finding from my first assessment report, which is based on the proofreading and editing of the RAMS form. RAMS stands for Risk Assessment and Management System, which is a document used to identify risk, safety procedures, and emergency steps for a particular activity. This RAMS document was originally submitted by a friend of mine who is taking a tourism course, and it was part of a documentation for a trip to Pulau Tioman. Since the document focus on the safety and risk management, accuracy and clarity are extremely important. So throughout this presentation, I'll be sharing the errors I identified and the correction I made and the reasoning behind those corrections. Now, before I begin, I would like to briefly explain the type of error that I identified in this document. There are three main categories, which are language error, content error, and context error. And for today's presentation, I will start with language error, since this category contained the highest number of issues and had the greatest impact on the clarity and professionalism of the RAMS form. Before I move into the example, I would like to briefly explain why language errors occurs in the document like this. Most of the time, this error happens because of inconsistent writing habits, influence from informal language, or simply because a lack of awareness of proper spelling, punctuation, and grammar rules. Now, moving on to the first error that I found, which is the spelling error. The example shown here is snorkeling at Tioman Island with 1L corrected to snorkeling at Tioman Island with 2L. This corrected is needed because the original spelling uses American English, while the standard in Malaysian academic context is British English. Using this correct version keeps the spelling consistent throughout the document. Next, moving on to the punctuation error. The example is not doing a health checkup without a hyphen, and it is corrected to not doing a health checkup with a hyphen. Checkup requires a hyphen because it is a compound noun. Adding the hyphen ensures the phrase is read correctly and the meaning remains clear. Now, moving forward to the capitalization error. The example is RAMS form with capitalized form, and it is corrected to RAMS form with lowercase form. These changes are needed because only acronym should appear in full capital letters, changing capitalized form to lowercase form to create a clearer and more accurate headings. Next is the word choice error. The example is participants get new experience. It is corrected to participants gain new experience. The word gain is more precise and formal compared to get, making it more suitable for technical safety documents. Now, moving on to the grammatical error. The example is life in sea. It is corrected to life in the sea. The definite article the is required when referring to natural features such as the sea. Adding it makes the phrase more complete and grammatically accurate. Next is the sentence structure error. The example is proper management of marine ecosystem, including avoiding damage to coral reef. It is corrected to proper management of marine ecosystem includes avoiding damage to coral reef. The original sentence is incomplete because it does not contain a main verb. The word or including only adds extra information, but it cannot function as the main verb of the sentence. By adding the verb includes, the sentence becomes more complete and much clearer. And lastly, for language error, we have the subject-verb agreement error. The example is participant required to follow all the instructions. It is corrected to participants are required to follow all the instructions. The reason for making this correction is because the original sentence contains more than one agreement issue. Firstly, the subject participant is singular, but the verb structure used implies a plural requirement. Secondly, the noun instruction should be plural because it refers to multiple guidelines. And by correcting the subject, verb, and noun to match in number, the sentence becomes grammatically accurate and much more clearer for the reader. Now, moving on to the content error. The communication section only lists the faculty in charge and phone number without providing any actual details. The correction includes adding the emergency hotline and the requirement for the officer's name and contact numbers. This made the document more complete and practical for real emergency situations. Next, I will move to the context errors. The first context issues involve inconsistent use of Malay and English in the headings. Using one consistent language helps create a more organized and coherent document structure. The second context issues is the shift in tone in the final decision section, where the writing switches between instructional and descriptive style. Standardizing the tone helps the section read smoothly and avoid confusing changes in writing style. To conclude, the proofreading process helped identify a variety of language, content, and context errors that affected the clarity and flow of the RAMS document. After the corrections were made, the information became clearer, the structure became more consistent, and the document became easier to understand. These improvements are especially important because the RAMS form is a safety-related document where a clear communication is essential. With the correction applied, the documents now function more effectively and present itself in a more professional and reliable manner.